So today what we are going to cover is something called a smart art. Anyone who knows what a smart art is? What is a smart art? I don't know if you guys are aware that we, have a lot of, just like you have rules and other tools and things that we are learning. So we have few things that we try to keep in PowerPoint also. Not all the rules might be applicable to your business PowerPoints that you are creating, but few things that we try to do is that we keep something called a 666 rule. We have this 666 rule. Does anybody know what is the 666 rule? 666. We try not to have not more than 6 bullets in a slide. That's rule number 1. Not more than 6 words in a bullet. And not more than 6 text slides in PPT. Like together. Not if that the total cannot be 6, but after 6 we need a break. Breaks, how do we bring? We bring in form of graphs, charts, images, and our smart arts. So what are smart arts? Like over here in the previous PowerPoint, there was some bit of smart art already involved. So if I open this thing, something like this would fall under smart art. Okay, because we can also say that, okay, welcome to the stores and this is what we introduce, this is what we introduce. We could have put it in a simple form of a bullet. But instead of giving it as a bullet, as a simple text, which becomes little boring at times to look at, we have converted into a graphic. So smart art is a form of an infographic that we are used very heavily. Now this you guys had to create, but smart arts are already pre-created for you. So lots and lots of different styles are there, which you can easily use. I'm talking about 2005, 2006, when we used to create these kind of charts. I remember I had to create a chart in which there were 3 circles fitted inside each other, and there were divisions, and then we had to call out few things to create that simple thing. To create that simple image used to take me 2 hours easily, because anytime we want to make our data a little different, because we still followed that rule that no, they should not be your slide should not be only filled with text, it should have some visually appealing graphics so that a person is easily able to understand the text. So in that time we used to take a lot of time to create these graphics. Now what they've done, they have introduced something called a smart art. So what's a smart art? Let's look at it, how easy it is to work with the smart art, how to work. Then we'll take up some examples of the smart art. So smart art does what? It helps me to convert my text and bullets into smart graphics, smart art graphics. And it reduces our efforts of creating graphics from scratch. Like in the previous example, we created that entire graphic. Even the examples that I was showing you in which we had, I wanted you to create a new layout in which there were 3, pictures, placeholders of 3 pictures. All these things we can just do it using smart. So we don't really have to do it from scratch. Now the best part is that you really don't have to start from the smart art. Now typically when I'm making a PowerPoint presentation, I really don't think about design first. My first thing that I want to do when I'm creating a PowerPoint presentation is the content, then the flow. So my PowerPoint presentation, if you look at it, and the stage 1 would only be text and bullets, only text, bullets, 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 bullets throughout the slide that's there. Because first thing is, what do I want to tell the user? And I will focus on the flow, that, okay, this slide should come first, then this slide should come. Now, once you have put down all the bullet points, then you want to convert it to a graphic. It's very easy. All you need to do is, for example, if I have to convert this into a graphic, I'll select the bullets. I'll go to the home tab. Over here, you will see convert to smart art. Once you click on it, it is going to give you a few choices that, okay, this is how your smart art can look. And it will also give you kind of a preview of this is how your smart art can look. right? So you see how easy, how convenient it is to show these things nowadays. And then whichever you like, whichever you think is the most appropriate, you can pick. But that's not the end. We can also go to more smart art graphics. And over here, they have also listed in a very nice manner that, let's say, if you are just talking about a list, like this is a simple list. So for a list, what are the very good smart art? Some list may be like a plain simple ones. Some of them have pictures that you can associate with, and you can pick and choose how you want to display. So let's say I want to display something like a simple smart art like this, and it's done. It's so convenient, right? So we really don't have to think about the design. I would recommend you the same thing, that don't think about the design first. First, think about the content, because obviously that's also important. Once you're done with the content, the flow, then you start designing your PPTs. On once we have certain fixed type of reports that we send to various clients, create templates for it so that you're not recreating and spending a lot of time designing them again and again. Only thing probably we should work in, the templates are ready, probably changing the colors as per the client that we are dealing with. Or if we want to make industry wise, depending on which client is from which industry, make industry wise template. That would be a wiser thing to do rather than sitting and designing them all the time. Right? So this is what SmartArt is all about. So there is a SmartArt gallery, like I showed to you. And inside that, you will see we have a lot of things, like if I want to show something as a list, as a process, if I want to show a cycle that start here and then it ends here, hierarchy, relationship, matrix. If I want only the SmartArt which has pictures in it, then I have this one. And then if you click on office.com, it gives you more options that are there. What are the options? For example, the first one is a list. List means what? For items without a sequence. So it's, if it has a sequence, then it falls under process. But if it's just list of points, like over here in the first one that I did, 666 rule, is there any sequence involved? Should it be that the bullet should come first, then the words, and then the text slides? Not really. There's no sequence involved. So over here, I can simply click on list. If it's a fixed sequence, then I click on process. If it's a continuing sequence, then we would want to have a cycle. And if we want to show relationship between things, then we have relationship ones. For grid-like diagrams, then we use matrix. For hierarchy, we have pyramids. For picture galleries, we have pictures, and then different layouts in office.com. Inserting text into a SmartArt. So I'll just illustrate it once and then I'll show it to you also. I'm going to use a new slide. I don't want to spoil the slide. So like I said, in order to create a SmartArt, what is the process? You type in. Okay, I'm just going to type in random stuff. Once this is there, we select, we go to home, we go to SmartArt over here, and then we can pick and choose what we want. So simple, SmartArt gets created. Now, once your SmartArt gets created, if I want to edit the text, if I want to add the text, if I want to delete the text, how do you do it? We are going to click over here. This is called a text box over here. And each bullet represents the design elements. So if I want to change anything, I can go over here and change it. Something like this, right? Now, underneath, if I want to make some sub-bullets, then what do? We press enter and we press tab. So you saw when I pressed enter, it created another design element. It created another rectangle in which I could enter. But as soon as I press tab, it kind of removed that. Because when you're putting tab spaces, it indicates that you're writing sub-bullet of the main point. Now, as you can see, not every SmartArt will be very friendly, because depending on how much content you are putting inside, it might change the size of the text. And sometimes it may be very unreadable. So all these kind of things you should take care of. All right. Now, this is one way of doing it, that I can go to the text box and then change it. Or the second way of doing it is selecting one element by one element and changing the text. Which one do you think is more convenient? Changing, going by shape to shape, or using this text box over here? It is much convenient, so much convenient. Over here, you just need to go to shape, shape, shape. It's not that convenient. And if you wanted to change the font size or anything like a font color, suggestion is do not select individual boxes because that increases your work drastically. Select the smart art. Let's say we go to home. If I want to increase, I'll increase from here, so that whatever I'm changing gets affected to all the things in my smart art, not just one. But like I told you, typically what it will do, depending on how much content you have, it might shrink the font size further to fit in the content. But then you have to be a good judge whether, yes, this is still a good smart art, or do I need to pick something else? Right? So that is what we were talking about, inserting text into a smart art. So text is either inserted into a text placeholder, which contains the text corresponding to the shape. We can click on the image and start typing, or we can use the text pane, which is a little quicker method to work with. When we enter, we create a new shape, and when we press tab, we create a sub point. When we create shift tab, we go back to the main point. So what I mean over here is, over here, so when I press tab, let's say for example over here, when I press tab, I'm in a, let's go back completely. But when I press tab, I go a sub point. When I press enter, I'm still in the sub point. Now let's say I want to create a main point. So I'll press shift and tab and then create it. Okay. And there is one with the pictures also in it. So SmartArt design. So for example, in the list itself, there is something like this also, where you can add pictures. So if I click over here, I would be able to insert a picture. Let's say I'm going to insert a picture from stock images from here. And so I want to put this picture. So all these pictures, oh no. Is this picture one? No, it's not the picture one. I'm sorry. Something like this. Yes. So photo, the picture icon has to be there. So let's say if I pick something like this, so you will see in this particular circle, that picture will also appear. So you can try this also. You can have pictures like over here. I'm going to place another one. You can have, when you click on it, you can do icons also. So if you want to put some icons over here, you can do that. So all these kind of things you can put. So icons could be there. So like I said, all these things we created by hand. Like we had shapes, we put icons. Now there are predefined elements already there. Next, I want to talk about the ribbon that is there and how you're going to utilize this ribbon. So I'll talk about the important components of the ribbon. I'm sure a lot of things you guys are capable of understanding yourself, but few things which I think is very important. Now you can add a shape or you can delete a shape by going to the text pane and pressing the enter sign. It creates a shape for you. Other way of adding or deleting a shape, or adding a shape rather, is through this add shape on the top. So if I go back to my smart art, and if I have clicked over here on the top, I will have add shape. And once I click on it, so for example, now it's there. So if I've selected this particular shape and I go back over here, I can add a shape after it, or I could say I want to add a shape before it. So this is another way of adding a shape, right? If I want to add a bullet point inside, I can click on add bullet and type it. So this kind of gives me the bullet that we are adding through text pane. And if I click on promote, then this becomes my main text, right? So add bullet, promote, demote is the same work that you have been doing in your text panes also, but this is just like a simple other way of doing it. Another thing over here that we're going to talk about is this left and right kind of a thing. In SmartArt designs, over here, let's say if I have a different kind of, I have this one. Now I want to swap it. I want to change whatever is on the left, I want to move it to right and vice versa. So once I click on this right to left, it swaps it. So I really don't have to change my entire text, cut and paste it, and then do it. I can always do right to left and change my visualization order. Right? So this is there. Then what else we have? We have the smart arts layout. A lot of time it will happen that we created a smart art, and then when we are filling in the text inside, we're adding some text, it stops looking nice. It's not going to look good. Like for example, uh, this is not going to look nice. So what we can do, we can go back while the smart art is selected, we can go back to the various layouts and change the layout. So if I go with this, then again, like I say, I don't like it. We can try a different permutation combination. And the best part of smart art is while you're doing it, it kind of gives you a preview in the back end. Once you hover on top of anything, it gives you a kind of a preview of how it is going to look. So you can easily understand, okay, this is going to look nice and this might not look nice. So you can change your layouts even after creating a smart art. Next thing is the colors. Obviously, depending on what theme you have selected, we have already spoken about the theme, right? So depending on what theme you have picked, the way it works is whatever is the primary color, the accent one, basically what you talk about in your color scheme, that is the one that gets applied. So if I have changed the theme, so in this theme, my accent one is this red color. Over here, it's the green color, and so on and so forth. So whatever theme you pick, it will apply based on that theme. And if you still want to go ahead and change the smart out the colors, you can still do it from here. So you've got something called change colors. Like I want to keep my theme, but I want to give some variations in the blue color. I can do that. Or I want to use different colors from my theme itself. So this helps me to do it. This is accent 2, this is accent 3 from the basic themes that we have. So this is getting from the theme how to recolor your visualizations, right? Next is the smart art styles. So one is coloring and one is giving some different kind of like how we make something glow or make different effects that you may call. So over here you can like if you click over here, you will see some shadow has been given around each and every element. This one has just a simple one. This has a gradation of a color. This is again the simple one. And then we have the one that looks like 3D. Typically, these days we don't use a lot of 3D. We kind of refrain from 3D in our visualizations because it makes it very, very tough for the end user to read things inside it. So I would say use the more simpler ones. This is white outline. This is a black outline, I think. That's the difference between the two. Use the simpler ones. And the last part that is important is we can convert. Now, when you say convert, there are two things we can convert it into. We can convert it back into a text. So, however was my bullets, I get them back. If I don't like what I'm looking at, I've tried various combinations. I didn't like any of it. I can go back to my text line. Or right now, this is one smart art. Smart art has different elements into it. Now, if I don't want all these elements and if I want to go back and change it into a simple shape so that when I move things around or I can shrink it and all, it doesn't change anything. So what you can do is select your smart art under smart art design tool. You can also convert it into a shape. Now, once it has converted into a shape, nothing you can, the text pane and everything is gone. Now, I can't, if I choose them individually, which I would hardly recommend, but this becomes one single element that you can work with, right? So this is one single thing now that you're working with. So you're converted into a shape. I would always advise you not to pick one element of the smart art and do any kind of changes to it, because once you do that, you kind of remove the purpose of using a pre-made graphic, because then it starts to look very disbalanced. There are some one size, there's other size, so it kind of looks disbalanced as design. So we understood how to add shapes in the text pane, as well as through this we understood how to change the direction, change the layouts, change the colors, and convert it back to bullet or convert it into a shape. Then few more things in the SmartArt layout. So when you create a smart art, you will see there are two tools on the top that get highlighted. One we have seen is the design, and one is the layout. So what is there in the layout that can be of utility? I can change shapes. What it means is, right now, these are all rectangles, right? Okay. These are all rectangles as of now. So if I wanted to change the shape of these rectangles and make them as, like, say, a different shape altogether, then how do I do it? I can go to the format layout, over here, change shape, and whichever shape you think you want, you can click on it and it changes. So change shape. And let's say if I want to create it in this fashion, oh, I'm not supposed to pick one single. So Control A helps you to select all, and then you can click on change shape. So all of the shapes will be changing. So you might start with a particular design in SmartArt, but it gives you full freedom to make changes over here. If you want to change, if you want to make your design element a little larger, you can click here. If you want to make it smaller, click here, it makes it smaller. If you want to change any of the shape styles, you can click. If you want to change the fill colors, that can be changed. When you go to home, you can also change the format of your fonts. So all this freedom is given to us. We can work with the changing of the shapes, we can work with the styles, we can change the fill color, fill outline, and the effects of it. And all this is present in the format. So two things that pop up when you're selecting your SmartArt. One is design, where we spoke about adding the shape, adding bullets, promote, depromote, right, left, layouts, colors, styles, and converting. And then we have format, in which we can change shapes, make it the shape smaller, larger, shape style, fill outline. These are the important things, and the text fill and all those things. Next thing we want to work with the tables, because in your reports, if you see, you guys are putting a lot of tables, you're putting the icons, you're putting the graphics. So how do you work with the tables? So basically, when you're working with tables, there are ideally 4 ways of putting tables in your PowerPoint presentation. So we'll talk about what are the 4 ways. Number 1, I can go to insert tab, like you can see in this picture. I can go to table, and I can say how many rows and columns do I want. And based on that, a table gets created in my PowerPoint. So let's say if I have this particular slide, and I can go to insert. Under insert, I have table. Over here, I can choose how many rows and columns I want. I click and a table gets created. This is one way of creating a table, right? The second way of creating a table is copy paste from Excel. So if I have any kind of Excel file with me, let's go to the desktop, and what I've written in these files, or even if there's any text in front. Okay, let's say this is the one. So you simply copy it, you come back to PowerPoint presentation, and you simply paste the tables over here, correct? This is the second way of doing it. The third way of copy pasting is, you can go to insert tab, you can go to the text tools, and there is something called an object. And from that also you can put it in the PowerPoint. To illustrate that part, we can go over here. Let's say on the top, insert, under the text tools, this is a symbol for object. So you can embed the object over here. So click on it. You can say, I want to create from a file. You can go ahead and browse the file. Let's say I want to pick this file of book 4. Click OK. I can link it, and we'll talk about what is the effect of linking, and click OK. So my files come over here, right? So this is the third way of putting the tables in your PowerPoint presentation. And the fourth way is, so the third way I've pointed out over here. Fourth way is just click on the table placeholder, like this image over here. There's a table placeholder. Once you click on it, this pop-up comes over here. It will ask you how many rows, how many columns do you want. You enter the number of rows and column, and your table gets populated. So again, just to quickly illustrate this one also. So if I have something like a title and content slide, so these are also like kind of a placeholders. Once I click on it, this helps me to put a smart art, this helps me to put a chart, this helps me to put a table, this helps me to put pictures. This is from stock images, videos, icons. So if I click on the table, it is going to ask you how many columns. Let's say 4 columns, and I want 10 rows. I can plug it in, I click OK, and my table gets created. Right? So all these 4 ways are available for us to insert the tables. Now, once you have created a table, just like how we had certain tools that popped up for SmartArt, for tables also we have certain tools. The ones that we work with mostly is in under the table design. You will have something like, if I wanted to give a different style to my table by having a different color for the header, banded rows, I want to color differently my first column or my last column, or I want a banded column, or I want to highlight my total row, so I can check mark over here. You can do banded rows, but I would kind of, from the visual point of view, I would say let's avoid the banded rows. We should have a same color going on, because anytime you're changing colors, it looks good visually. However, when you're changing color, the users get sent a message that probably I'm looking at 2 different type of information, even though it's not 2 different type of information, it's the same information in the one table. So my request would be, let's avoid banded rows, let's use normal rows. And over here we have the various table styles. In this we have the various colors also by which you can change. You can change the borders and shadings also from here. So for example, over here, if I've created this table, once I click on the top, you see table design is there. Once I click on the table styles, all these table styles come up. I'm not a big fan of banded, so I'm going to remove this banded rows. Once I go and remove banded rows, now you see the design styles have changed. So you can pick whichever you find more interesting for your presentation, and then you can start working on it. Simple. And anytime you wanted, let's say if I wanted the first column also to be highlighted, so I can say first column. And now, I am going to get few designs in which my first column and first row gets a different color. These may be 2 headers that you have, and inside it may be some values that you're putting, and hence this might be an okay style to work with. If I want to change the shading, I can simply select the column or the row, go up over here and say, okay, I want, let's say, a little grayish tone over here. Same thing I want, I can select this, pick up the shading, and this is how you can change the shading as well. Now, when you want to enter, one thing is we've got our tables. So the 4 ways we looked at was, if you go to insert and you have a table, this is the first way of doing it. Second way we understood, we copy paste from Excel. Third way we understood, we can go to insert and we can go to object over here, and from the object create from the file. And the fourth way was just to click on the placeholder. Okay, after this, let's talk about formatting. So what are the things in formatting? The one thing is that if I want to delete the rows on the columns, how do I do it? There are 2 ways, so we'll talk about both the ways. If I want to insert row and column, then how do we do it? We'll talk about that. And if you want to merge cells or split a cell, how do you do it? So let's say in this particular table that I've created, I want to delete a row or a column. So if I want to delete a row or a column, I can always select the row and click on the backspace. That helps me to get rid of it. Select backspace. So simply, if you want to do it using your keyboard, if you don't want to do anything else, then select Backspace helps you to delete the row and column that you don't want. And if you want to add, this is one way of doing it, sorry. Other way of doing it would be when you have already created the table. On the top, you will have something called a layout. Underneath the layout, we have delete, where it's going to ask you what you want to delete. You want to delete a column, you want to delete the row, or you want to get rid of the entire table. So these three choices are available for delete. When you want to insert a new row, the process is very simple. You keep on pressing the tab spaces. When you press the tab spaces, automatically the rows keep on increasing. But if I want to increase the column, then I can select the column. And once you've selected the column over here, you will see you get things like insert on the right, insert on the left, and these choices you will also get. You do get it. It's not hovering right now. Okay, it's not coming up, but usually when you select it, it comes over here itself, a small menu, that opens up. But over here, you can do insert left, insert right, you can insert rows, you can insert row above, insert row bottom. So these are the two ways of inserting rows and column. Now comes merge cell. Now, sometimes it does happen with us, right? We want to merge the cell and then present the data. Let's say if I wanted to merge these two cells. So select the cells, click on merge cell. This converts into one single cell. And then we can have data below it. If I want to split a cell, then again, we're going to be in the cell that we want to split. Click on split cell. It will ask you into how many number of rows and columns. Let's say I want one row, but two columns. So if I click OK, it has split my cell. So you can select and you can split any cell. You can split, now this is also split into two parts. So cells you can easily split. You can easily merge the cells together. Now, what I really don't like when I look at tables is sometimes one column is of one width, second column is of other widths. The rows are, one row is very, wide and the other one is very thin. So what I always like to do is once I've created my table is ready, I will go to layout and I use this thing called distribute row and distribute column. I typically would not try to adjust it myself. So what this distribute row and distribute column does for us, let's see. Okay, let's say this is there. This is a table, right, that I have? Yes. So let's go to design. I want a header row. Let's pick a simple one. And if I wanted to distribute row and column over here, I can select, go to the layout and say distribute row. So you see how it makes everything equidistant. If I say distribute column, if they were of varying width, like say, for example, I'll make this little smaller. Right? And then I've selected this table. And if I say distribute column, automatically it adjusts the width. So that's what I like. I would like a table which has a standard width, height of the rows, and the width of the column should be there. What else can we do to improve this? Is it a good table? The text alignment is very poor in this. So we can go to the layout and this is where all your alignments are. So I can make it center. If I wanted to horizontally and vertically make it centered, can do that. The size of the font is too small. So I can again go to home tab and increase it, get the size. And now it looks a little better to look at. This is a better looking table than what we had previously. So we spoke about deleting, we spoke about inserting and splitting. Then equal size, I spoke about the alignment. Other thing I want to talk about, like I think which I've already showed it to you, that when you're exporting data from Excel, you copy the table in Excel, and what are the various pasting options that we get? The pasting option we get is paste with destination style. It means whatever is the style that you guys are using in your PPT, that is what it is going to adopt. Paste from source formatting. So from the source, whatever is the formatting, it gets put over here. I can copy paste and embed it also. So once I double click on it, I can edit the data. I can paste it as a picture. This you will do if you're not intending to make any kind of changes in your number. If you don't want any linking, you don't want any changes, then you would put it as a picture. But that embed as an object you can do. You don't really have to place it. You can copy and paste and embed the object also. And paste only the date and, oh, so not, it's not date. Paste only the data and no formatting. So something like this is also there, that we want to only copy the data and we don't want any formatting to be there, neither the source, neither the destination. So these are the things that you see over here. These are the various pasting options. So if you simply copy paste, it doesn't come up. But if you open this paste tool on the top, ribbon on the top, then you will see all these pasting options coming up, right? Now, very interesting thing is when you embed, and there is something called display icon in this thing, which I've shown you, and there is something called link. So by linking, what happens? Any changes, you can make changes to data by double clicking on it, and you can double click and we can access the file easily. What I mean, let's try it over here. Let's say this PPT is there. It's not safe, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and copy, go back, paste, and I'm going to embed it. Okay. So once I'm embedding it, if I double click on it, when you embed it and you can click on it and you can still make those changes and access the data of your Excel file. So that is one embedding. But the best way to work with the tables, with the charts in your PowerPoint presentation is actually when you link the files. You need to link the files and then do it. So how do you create this live link? On the top, you don't have these kind of options of pasting where you are doing a live link. Now, what does a live link mean? That as and when you're changing the data in your Excel, instantly, whatever tables you have in your PowerPoint, they also change together. So that is the best way, because if you don't want to take the pains that, okay, again and again, I don't want to make sure that I have to copy the data. I want to simply, when the data is changing over there, I would want the data to change over here also. So if I go to file, let's say I'm opening a new file, I'm going to put the data this time. Let's say this one I want to use. So this file I'm going to use over here. And this is the table I want, right? Now I can select what I want to paste. I can copy it when I go to my main table to paste it. Rather than doing a simple paste, and do a paste special. When you're doing a paste special, you can paste a link and say link to what? Microsoft Excel object. And once we click OK, the table is coming up over here. Now, the beauty of this when you're creating a live link is whenever you're changing any data. So the initial, all the cities are New York. So if I make any changes in the data and let's say I'll put Delhi, and I come back, automatically you will see the data has changed. So there's kind of a live link that gets created. And even if you have, closed this PowerPoint presentation, you have made changes to this Excel sheet. When you open the PowerPoint presentation, pretty much the first thing it is going to ask you is, do you want to update the links or not? And you have to say yes. So whatever is the data changes that had happened in the Excel sheets with which you have linked this automatically gets, applied on top of it. So the best thing is if you're trying to copy paste the data from Excel and you want to continuously make sure that any changes that happen in my Excel get automatically updated in my PowerPoint, you are going to use, instead of a simple copy and paste, when you're pasting, you will use the live link. How do you do it again? I'm going to copy, go back, do a paste special. Under paste special, I have paste link and I'm going to link it to my Excel file. Okay, next. What about the charts? So once you're copy pasting your charts, we are going to follow the same thing that we are following for the table, that when we are pasting it, I want to paste it using, either I use a destination theme and link data, or I may have a source theme and link data. But the important point is I want to keep it linked to the data. So let's say I will say I want a destination theme and I want to link data. Now again, since you have created a live link, as a result of it, if I had changed copy value, let's see the northeast value, I am going to change. This is about 17 lakhs. I will make it 12 lakhs. Should have started with this only. Insert bar chart, and I will. This I'm copying, and when I'm pasting it, I'm going to right click, make sure it's pasted with the link. And again, like as a result of it, any change that will happen in my Excel. So if I go back to Excel and make any changes over here, so this changes and so does this in the PowerPoint. Again, the linking really helps because any changes that you're bringing in one part automatically reflects in the other, and that, you know, kind of reduces the pain of copy pasting it again and again. Right? Any changes that I'm making here gets reflected. So that's the beauty of linking. So I think for your work, for kind of the way we work also, we don't want images to be here. We don't want static things to be there, and we don't want to go back and forth and change it ourselves or copy paste it again. Ideally, any change that is happening in our Excel, whether it's a table or it's chart, it should change itself. So live links are important. Typically, whatever is there in Excel is what we put in our PowerPoint presentation. But sometimes it looks very basic in terms of, because your PowerPoint presentations are supposed to be a little visually appealing. If it looks like an Excel only, or it looks like a simple word, there's no point of creating a PowerPoint presentation. So sometimes to make your tables little better looking. Like for example, this is a table from Excel only. I've copy pasted from Excel only. But this or something like this over here, the only difference is I've put a line also. So this versus this and a normal table, which one do you think is visually appealing? Pick this. So all these things you already know, that how to put text, how to put objects, how to put a picture in the background. And what I've done, the only thing that I've done over here is I've put the table on top of a shape rather than putting a table as it is. Removed any kind of formatting from there, remove the borders and put it on top of it. So I'll quickly illustrate it. It's not very difficult, and I'm sure, you know, after so many things that you've learned, you will be able to do it very easily. So I'm just going to do it on a plain background. So if I have to pick a table and I want to make it look little better, so what I did in this case, I picked a shape, obviously gave a different color to the shape that I have. And then on top of this shape is where I picked and placed my table. So if I wanted to place this table of mine, so copy, go over here, paste, then it allows me to access this table designs. Then it's making me work with the table. And then I can get rid of these borders, no borders I want, all this layout thing that we spoke about of making it center aligned and increasing the font size. All these things we can do easily then, right? And as far as the color goes, again, what we can do is in the design, when we are talking about the shading, we can use an eyedropper, pick the color of the background so that they both merge into each other and it doesn't look like a table anymore. And then finally, if I want to give a different color to my header on the top, we can give a different kind of shading, a lighter or a darker, however you want. This kind of shading, change the color. So this is what I did over there. But the bad part or the sad part is if I don't make it a live link, it's a static table sitting over here. So any changes that I'm doing over here does not reflect. So that's a trade-off of making it pretty. Okay. So that's it. This is what I wanted to cover for today.